God, where were you? You say you are a loving God, but you allowed me to suffer so much. If you've ever asked yourself this question, if you've ever asked God this question, then this video is just for you. So before I waste more time, let's go. Hi, my name is Palesa, and if you're watching this, consider yourself my friend. Now, my friend, this year and over the past year, a lot of us have experienced all types of suffering, and it hasn't been easy. And many of us have prayed and felt and asked, where was God? Where is God in my suffering? Well, my friend, I want to let you know something. You see, when God promises in His Word, when He promised in His Word that He would never leave us nor forsake us, it is true even in the suffering. I want to take you to the Word to see what the Word says about this. You see, when we look at the story of Job, the most popular passage and illustration of suffering, we realize that God had never left, though His health, His wealth, His family, His friends seemed to have left. And we look at the story of Joseph. Joseph was thrown into the pit, betrayed by his family, suffered for an injustice that had nothing to do with him. He suffered. Where was God? He was right there with him. We look at the people of Israel who spent 400 years in captivity, in slavery. The Bible said that God was hearing their cries, but He was waiting for the perfect opportunity to step in accordance to His will. You see, my friend, many times we ask ourselves, where is God? And because we think that a good God would not allow suffering, we somehow think that God is not there, but the truth is that He never left. Now, the reason why we many times think and feel that God is not in our suffering is because we are looking at the suffering from the perspective of our human experience, from the pain we feel, from the perspective of the suffering, and we forget that God is there. He is using the suffering for a reason that we may not understand, and it is not up to us sometimes to ask why, because sometimes, many times, friend, the answer to the question why is not up to us. It's not for us to know. It's one of those mysteries that God leaves, but He is calling us and inviting us to trust Him, to move towards Him in our suffering, and not to move away from Him, to not allow the suffering to act like an enemy that puts itself between us and God. You see, suffering is part of the seasons of life. And yes, some of these seasons are painful and are long and prolonged. But my friend, remember that He turns everything out for the good of those who love Him. He turns even suffering around for the good of those who love Him. So where is God in the suffering? God is right there. Where was God in the suffering? God was right there. But many times the problem is we put our eyes on the suffering and we took our eyes off from God. So where was God? He was there. Where is God? He is there. Let us turn our eyes from the pain and the suffering and let's look to God, because He is there. I hope, my friend, this video has encouraged you. Remember that God never leaves us when we suffer. That suffering does not mean that He's not there. That suffering does not mean that He's punishing us. No, it is part of our story. Not the entire part, but part of our story, which fits into His greater story. I hope you're encouraged. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Share it with the people in your world. And comment below and let me know if you have and are going through anything that has caused you to take your eyes off God and onto that situation, because it happens to us all. My friends, until the next video, which will be next week, take care. Bye.